This episode of RealAg Radio is brought to you by high-performing new Carbine insecticide from FMC. Carbine insecticide delivers fast, selective, and extended control of aphids in alfalfa and pulses, leaving beneficials like lady beetles to help in the fight. Ask your retailer today.
It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio. Welcome to RealAg Radio here on Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM. Shaun Haney, your host here on this Tuesday edition of the show. Hey, thanks so much for making RealAg Radio and Rural Radio 147 a part of your workday. And a big shout out to everybody also, of course, listening on the RealAg Radio podcast. No matter if you're farming in Canada, the U.S., or beyond, it is great to have you here, a part of the RealAg community. Like I promised on yesterday's show, real kind of a fun opportunity, because this week the entire RealAg team from across Canada is in one place. Yes, they're all in Calgary, Alberta. Should have done this during Stampede. That seems like sort of ill-timed, but that could have been a real runaway, if you know what I mean. So we're going to focus today on agronomy. We've got a great panel here to discuss all things agronomic issue, sort of a agronomic Tuesday, if you will, sort of an extended version of agronomic Monday. Today's show is brought to you by Lakeland College. We're going to hear from Cole Ambrock in a little bit, talking about some program that they have going on at Lakeland College, and we'll get into that in a little bit. First, let's, though, bring in our panel. Kara Oosterhuis, coming out of Bow Island, Alberta, Southern Alberta girl. How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. You know, I always love these summits when we get together, you know, once a year, whatever. You and I see each other on the road, and we're only an hour or two apart and get out for a round of golf or two in the summer, it seems. But I think, you know, this recording of the radio show is my favorite part of the whole thing. Yeah,
you know, I knew that because last week when I told you that we maybe weren't going to do this, I could feel the disappointment in your voice. You're like, oh, no, it wasn't even that. It was sort of like, oh, really? Oh, okay.
All right. Whatever you say, boss.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I guess we don't need to do it. I could feel that,
I'll just be very disappointed, but whatever. We don't need to do it.
Yeah, you just wrecked my year. But also joining us is Tobin, coming out of Georgetown, Ontario. Hey, Bern, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Shaun. Always good to be in Calgary. And, again, I always look forward to this because it's kind of like the kickoff of the agronomic season.
Quite true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was out in the field last week with a bunch of some agronomists and some researchers. My first time out this year, and out with Peter Johnson, I might add as well, and some other people. And you know, it was really great to be out there. And I think we're going, and it was sunny, and it's obviously something we'll be talking about over the next hour is that crazy weather in Ontario.
And beautiful weather here. You guys picked a good week to come to Alberta, let me tell you, because it has not been like this at all over the past number of weeks, and quite frankly, the entire spring. Just finally starting to warm up. Spring is all of a sudden a little bit in the air. We've got a few people planting, or seeding, I should say, a few. In Southern Alberta Banana Belt, we got a few acres going in.
Yeah, minimally, I think.
Just
they're
sort of.
Just starting. The itch is definitely getting to be scratched.
Yes. Just be careful with that because it can spread. Also here, of course, is Peter Wee Johnson. Hey, Pete, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome, thanks, Shaun. Man, I just love coming to the summit because the old dog gets to come and kibitz with all the young, keen, new people here at RealAg, and the team is amazing. And by the way, the weather has gone south in Ontario. It's crap there. It was snowing today.
Come on.
It's crap. I know. It was great last week. I brought the wonderful weather to Calgary. I just want you to know that.
Peter
so
Johnson.
The sunshine came with wheat, Pete, because that's the way it is.
Okay, what's crap? You guys said 30 degrees. Is it 25 or 24? What's bad?
The Blue Jays had the roof open on the weekend.
Yeah.
But that all left Sunday night. We got rain, which, by the way, way, was a good thing because a lot of nitrogen on wheat. So that rain incorporated that nitrogen on the wheat. At least I hope it was enough rain. Barely enough rain in a few places. But, man, it's gone south. In fact, I had a tweet from a grower in Essex County with winter canola in full bolt, worried that the freezing temperatures were going to wipe out his winter canola crop.
Oh, wow.
That's how cold it is.
You know, Pete, I have a question. So I listen to the word every week, and I know I could Google this, but where is Essex County? Because I feel like it's got to be a hot spot of Ontario. I hear it a lot.
Is it a real place?
Like, does it even exist?
Essex County is the very bottom corner of Ontario, right down by Detroit, Michigan. Windsor, Leamington.
Brendan Burney country.
Yeah, absolutely. Brendan Burney County and as well Peely Island, which Peely Island is the most southerly point of Canada.
Now that sounds made up.
It's below Detroit.
And a nice wine,
It
too.
is as far south as Northern California.
Yeah.
So it is really far south.
Yep. Well, people don't realize that.
No, I know. Actually, when I go to South Dakota to speak, they're actually north of where I live in Ontario, and it's kind of like, wow, I have to go north to talk in South Dakota. It's kind of an interesting scenario.
Okay, if you have any feedback on today's show, you can get a hold of us by sending me an email, shaney@realagriculture.com. You can also, of course, find us across all the different social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, as well as TikTok, or you can call the RealAg feedback line. The best way to do that is 855-776-6147. You dial the number, you press the number 3, and you leave me a message. We're not going to put you on the air live. No. You dial the number, you press the number 3, you leave a voicemail. It's super easy. If you screw up, you can start again. Why not do it? 855-776-6147. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we've got more with our agronomic panel here. Today's show is brought to you by Lakeland College.
Let's be honest, the auger is one of the most hardworking pieces of equipment on your farm. It runs long hours at high capacities during harvest to get grain into your bins. Augers need to be reliable, tough, and able to handle the workload. AGI Westfield's MKX2 is built just for that. The new open-end discharge spout delivers a faster, more efficient flow of grain. The result? Less plugging and uses up to 20% less horsepower to operate. MKX2, what growers need.
How's your seed quality? What should you treat with? What about herbicide carryover and environmental concerns? Spring is here, and you've got a lot of things to think about in regards to your pulse crop. The Pulse School on Real Agriculture has information and advice for all these questions and more to help you navigate this season. Brought to you by BASF. Pulse School episodes are available at pulseschool.com, realagriculture.com, or as a podcast on your favorite streaming service. Download the latest episode today.
Peter Johnson at Wheat Pete, RealAgriculture.com, and what an opportunity! Oh my gosh! You think you can't grow better wheat? You are absolutely wrong. We're going to show you how to strive for those record wheat yields that they get in the UK and in New Zealand. You can grow 150 bushel wheat. I'll show you how.
Catch Wheat Pete's Word every Wednesday on RealAgriculture.com or download the podcast on iTunes or Spotify. We are having an agronomic panel here today at the RealAg Summit. Kara Oosterhuis, Tobin, and Peter Johnson, all of Real Agriculture. So, Kara, what are you, with your eye on 2023? Because you and Bern and Pete have been putting together kind of the school plans for the year. We have all the great crop schools. We talk about them here on the show. What do you have your eye on for 23?
Well, in the short-term prospect of 2023, we're of course looking at it. It's been, as much as, you look outside now, it's like this weekend, it was 19 degrees. It was gorgeous. I could have darn near got a suntan. But we're looking at kind of a spread out. We basically had February weather here in March, right through till the middle of April. And you could not believe it was April already. And there was so much snow still around and it was cool. And so in the short term, we're looking, okay, what sort of insects does that bring for a cool spring? Are we going to be looking out for wireworms more? Are we going to be watching those types of things? And we're also looking, okay, we're really not that late, but I mean, last year in we haven't even started plant or seeding in southern Alberta. Man, I've been hanging out with these Ontarians too long.
I know it's
we got the P word in there.
They do that to you.
But we haven't even started seeding yet. And last year we were in the field on April 7th, so realistically, we're not that far behind, but we're a little ways behind what we normally are.
It feels in southern Alberta and probably southern Saskatchewan to a certain extent that we should have started. Like, this is typically we would have started by now.
Oh yeah,
we're not behind. Like,
we're not behind. But then you start looking, and and I guess, and then you're looking at the long term, and you watch, some of these meteorologists, and there's some hope for some rain maybe this year, but they're also saying it could be an early frost.
We also heard so I heard early frost common in years leaving La Nina. That's kind of concerning.
Okay, wait a minute. You heard that? Is that a scientific fact? Like, this is a
meteorologist? I've heard a few times.
Heard it. Yep.
So it is.
It was a meteor. It was at NCBA. I think it was Matt Makers who does the
okay, as long as because oftentimes, Shaun, when you talk about weather, it's just some old wives' tale. Like, don't see corn.
Drew Lerner's saying it too.
I am anti-wives' tale.
He actually is. He's the one laughing. I'll tell you, speaking of wives' tales, we've had a lot of fog here in southern Alberta, Shaun. We are marking our calendars.
Well, I've got some real data, Peter. And we talked about this earlier. Dale Cowan of Agri Cooperative tweeted this out earlier today. 155 CHU corn heat units accumulated at Ridgetown as of today compared to 55 last year. So what does that do? I think we're going to have an early spring, right? And I'm really interested in, I think you said the weather's going to go south, but it's still mid-April. I'm interested in seeing how many people are going to put in early crops, corn and soybeans. How many people are going to put those soybeans in before the corn? And I'm going to be really interested in the next month or so to do some reports on what they look like. And at the end of the year, were they the best fields, some of the good fields, or the worst fields?
Yeah. So I just want to say that Shaun and I actually were out in front of all of this because about a month ago or something like that, we talked about no ice on the Great Lakes. And when there's no ice on the Great Lakes, it can warm up quicker because you don't have to melt that ice and have that cooling down the temperature in that zone. But Bern, just because we already have corn and soybeans in the ground. We do, absolutely. We now have 2 weeks in the forecast of crappy weather, and we only go out 14 days. What happens after that? Who knows? It's fun. It's fun. And absolutely watching it is fun. It will be really interesting to see if does that early corn win or lose.
That's what y'all do for fun.
Shaun,
we work for RealAgriculture.
They don't call it on terrible for nothing.
No, come on, Shaun. What I do for fun is I go on radio and I get to pick on you and Kara and Bern. It's all fun, man.
Yeah, it's picking. It hurts really. So, Bern, is that what you're looking? That's what you got your eye on for 23
Well,
here?
there's a lot of things. That's the starter. But I think we've had a couple of other things. We've had such a conversation about nitrogen over the last year or two that I've got a couple of things lined up, and I've got some really cool researchers that we're going to be working with this year. Looking at whether it's split applications, different products, and we can talk biologicals as well into that. But I'm really interested in nitrogen. I also want to keep an eye on tar spot. A big story a couple of years ago. Very not much to be said last year, but it is going to be weather dependent. So if the moist damp temperatures or conditions return, I think we're going to have a tar spot year or not. It might go away again. So 2 years, will it be a 2-year non-tar spot conversation, or will we be talking that disease?
You mentioned early spring. USDA planting progress report came out Monday afternoon. 8% complete, which is now 3 points ahead of its 5-year average of 5%. The key corn states in the I-80 corridor made some significant progress last week versus Illinois moved up 10% completion, with Iowa posting that 7% of its acres were planted as of Sunday. Ohio has little, if any, corn planted yet. So a little bit of a good start when it comes to U.S. corn crop going in too, Pete.
Peter doesn't believe that.
What do you mean I don't believe that? Why? Jeez, Mark.
Oh no.
Oh gosh, yeah. No, so that's good that we, and by the way, we have corn and soybeans planted in Ontario. That's really rare for the 17th, 18th of April. Actually, it was planted on before the 15th of April to plant corn and soybeans that early is really quite rare. But we're at a standstill now because of the current weather pattern. And by the way, even if you're not wet, because we didn't get that much moisture so far, but the temperatures have turned really cool. And we know with soybeans, man, that first 24 hours is so critical after you put those soybeans in the ground. You need those warm temperatures. So if you're thinking about planting on the 20th of April, I'm thinking that that's a poor choice, that the corn and soybeans that got planted in the warm spell last week have a far better chance of planting something into crappy conditions this week.
My grandma used to say, though, if the Rogers Center is open in April, it's going to be a great crop year. You have nothing to worry about. She talked about that all the time.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. Was the Rogers Center even around when your grandma was
Details. It doesn't
Details,
matter.
Yeah, right.
And Pete, the other thing is that corn in the ground. I mean, that first, everybody talks about you don't want that first drink of water to be a cold one, right?
Absolutely.
But that's like any crop, isn't it? Or is there a crop that doesn't really care?
A corn would be the worst, would it not?
Oh,
with the chilling, the corkscrewing.
Check
it out on Corn School.
Yeah, corn is a princess, right? Corn is a
They
princess.
say canola's a princess, but they don't. I think
corn's
it's corn.
worse. Corn's worse. But by the way, it doesn't matter for wheat. It actually doesn't matter for barley or durum or oats either.
Oh, really? Okay.
Just get the and why do you not have more crop in the ground in Alberta, Kara? Like, are you not telling get out there, get that? What is holding you back? I don't understand.
So I will tell you though, until about a week ago, well, and even now,
it was impossible.
It was impossible. We were out on Sunday actually touring around looking at fields, and the top, half an inch or even less than that is soft and muddy finally now, but you're still sliding around. There's still frost in the field. So it was a week ago, it was covered in snow. I know early winter or early wheat, but
for the people, so we're kind of in that territory where we really can win, where if it's a beautiful early part to the week and we're using Alberta. I don't know what it's like in Saskatchewan, Manitoba this week, but here in Calgary South, nice weather. If you can get out, get it in the ground, get that wheat, get that barley in the ground, and then the back half of the week, we're supposed to get some snow. That's where you really can win.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Just don't wait. And, if you really want to stretch it, Kara, you get out there with the drone and you just fly it on into that muddy condition.
That doesn't seem very precision-like. We talked about this the other day.
I know we did, but I'm just pushing it at Kara to kind of, you want to do some early stuff, do it with the drone. And by the way, that's Josh Naselski did this project at Emo where they flew oat seed on with the drone versus they did it with a drill. And I'm astounded how close the drone came. It yielded less. It's always better in the ground. But if you could seed a month earlier by just aerial seeding, I don't know.
She doesn't have a mic, but Paige Holmquist is here, our social media lead. Paige, you're in Canistano, around Canistano. Ground still totally snow covered? Not totally, but field still a lot of white?
Yeah, there's
some.
But it is warm.
It's getting warmer. It's melting fast.
The great melt.
Culvert's breaking, like it's just starting to flow. Just starting. So
Well, and you talked to Jocelyn.
2 weeks away? 3? Yeah, 3, 4-ish.
Oh, come on. Drone it. Give it a try. Just do it. Do a test strip. Come on. Paige, it's all about test strips. That's how you learn.
There are no mistakes in agriculture. He said that once or twice.
Yeah.
It's in his email signature. Kara, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you, there's still quite a bit of snow, and you look at Easton, Saskatchewan, Jocelyn Nelson, she's still...
Wasco.
Why did I say...
I don't know. Who's Jocelyn Nelson?
Can we cut this, please?
Oh, no. No.
No, and there's lots of snow. If you look at Jocelyn Wasco down in Easton, Saskatchewan, and she's still calving on, she's still putting out on Twitter, I think a day or Sunday we seen it, that she's still clearing areas for her cows to calve. there is a lot of snow out
But
there.
that's great for that area. At least the cold weather has stopped, because if there's an area desperate for moisture, it's an East End.
Soak it up. Yes, absolutely.
I made everybody in East End happy last week. I had Scott Kaler from Weather Logics on the show, and I actually asked for a forecast specifically for the Wascos for East End, Saskatchewan. They're not going to like it. What we did hear in that weather forecast is 23 could be a repeat of 22 on the prairies. So I don't know if Manitoba's was prone to get that much moisture, but if you think about this area, too dry. We need more rain than we got in 22 for sure.
Yikes.
Well, I know Kelvin was on here. We were talking with him, Kelvin Hepner, Altona, in Manitoba. He says they're expecting to be a little late in Manitoba, but things have really moved along from a melting and drying perspective in the next week, and he thinks they're going to get out a little earlier than last year.
Well, that wouldn't be hard though, because it was so late last year.
I was going to say that's all relative, because last year was not early.
Yeah. When you talk about it being dry, in Nebraska, and I
super dry.
It's super dry, but their winter wheat under the pivot, it all died. But in the dry corners, it's still alive.
Oh, I saw this
What
tweet.
is going on?
Tell why. Did you figure this out?
No, I have yet to figure. I'm looking for more. Sean, I asked for more details.
You did. I saw that.
And it's until I get more details. It is bizarre to me. But yeah, it's still super dry in that area. Get down into Kansas, and AJ, a friend down there, is saying that they finally got their first inch of rain. And this is the first rain they basically got since October or something like that. The winter wheat is just still emerging. There's some crop that needs rain like really bad through that part of the world.
I was in Nebraska 2-3 weeks ago, and dry.
Yeah,
for sure. Hey, we got to take a break. Today's show is brought to you by Lakeland College. And speaking of Lakeland College, we're going to hear from them when we come back. You're listening to RealAg Radio, Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM.
Boron is an essential micronutrient for plant growth, and without boron, your crops can't absorb the macronutrients they need for higher yields. Although borates occur naturally, boron deficiency is a common soil problem. Whether in direct soil application, through fertigation, or as a foliar spray, US Borax has the right refined product for your crops. US Borax products are specifically formulated to combine with other fertilizers, lowering your application costs. Learn more at borax.com/ag.
As you head out into the field this season, the Corn School's got you covered. Everything from tillage discussions, weed control info, field trial results, yield strategies, and more. The Corn School on RealAgriculture.com has the information and advice you need to help you succeed. Brought to you by Pride Seeds and BASF. Corn School episodes are available at cornschool.com, from realagriculture.com, or as a podcast from your favorite streaming service. Download the latest episode today.
Want to get the best out of your soybean crops? Whether you've been growing them for a generation or are just starting into soybeans, find what you need to know at soybeanschool.com. You'll see videos on growing tips, pest control, and much more from specialists across the region, all in one place. Easy for you to access from your desktop, tablet, or mobile phone. Maximize your yields by staying up to date with the Soybean School, presented by BASF, Pride Seeds, and Syngenta Canada.
And welcome back to RealAg Radio. It's now time to talk to today's show sponsor, Lakeland College. And we're joined right now by Lakeland's program head for Agri Sales and Customer Relations. It is Cole Ambrock. Cole, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me today.
And Cole and I have met in person. We met at the Ag Excellence Conference in Canmore last fall. So it's great to have you here today on the show, and to have Lakeland as today's show sponsor. So let's talk about that Agri Sales and Customer Relations program, Cole. Why would someone sign up for it?
Well, it's a two-part kind of response, Sean. First is, if I want to look at sales, is it for me or not? This is a great chance for me to get my feet wet, experience what sales is on a day in and day out activity, and see if it's for me for my future career. And secondly, maybe I'm in sales and it's not quite working out for me, or I'm maybe hitting that ceiling and wanting to get ahead. This course offers a great opportunity to refresh and introduce some key concepts back to that salesperson, just to get them maybe excited for their role again and hitting those numbers and those targets set out by their company.
Yeah. So whether you're a rookie or you're a veteran, there really is a benefit here for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, great. So let's talk about from the perspective of the employer. What benefit is there for the employer to have some of their salespeople go through this program?
I guess the first part is, in the field, there's no really good time to go to a sales training. It's always, busy and not the key or ideal time to be sending people away. Well, with the sales or the agri sales program, you can be doing this while you work, and it's actually integrated into your daily activities. So with this, there's no downtime, and salespeople can get training while on the job and implement those into their daily activities, as mentioned. And to help coach us through this, we've developed the industry sales matrix, which allows people to go from beginner to experienced or be ranked amongst that spectrum, and then understand maybe where they can get more improvement or where they're at the experience level. But really, it's giving yourselves that individualized growth plan for each salesperson, which is important because not everybody's the same.
And Cole, how is the program structured for the participants?
So the course is divided into 6 modules that are 8 weeks each to complete, and it will take about 1 year to finish the course. So you do learn at your own pace via our online learning portal. So each week we have tasks and key learning moments that the students learn about that can be implemented in their job. And then they can degress or have a conversation with the instructor of the course of why things work or didn't work, and actually loop into a bi-weekly meeting where they can talk in a team setting with the rest of the students and kind of that networking opportunity so they can grow as a team or as a cohort.
So if somebody wants more information on the agri-sales and customer relations program, how do they find it?
So they can visit our website at www.lakelandcollege.ca and search for the program. And our next intake starts here in July, so we are open for applicants.
Yeah, this seems like a perfect, if somebody out there is listening and say you're an agronomist, but you want to move maybe into sales, something like that, or somebody's listening, they're working on the farm now, but maybe they want to move over to the industry side. Sales is a potential opportunity. That's a good fit. Or like the situation we gave earlier, the example of somebody that's been in sales for a long time. You want to sharpen up some of your skills with some of the new sort of sales techniques and tools that are available to you. Also, a very good candidate for this program. So, Cole, thank you so much for joining us here today.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Shaun.
We'll be right back on RealAg Radio right after this.
Could we talk about oats? If you're thinking about growing oats in 2023, how about trying CDC Endure from Alliance Seed? CDC Endure Oats is consistently one of the top yielding varieties in the Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta provincial yield trials. With strong standability, excellent disease resistance, and excellent end-use quality, CDC Endure might be the variety for you and your farm. Available from authorized Alliance Seed retailers, Parrish and Heimbecker, Patterson Grain, and Northwest Terminal. For more information, visit allianceseed.com.
Whether you're seeding, harvesting, or anything in between, the Wheat School on RealAgriculture.com has you covered. Timely agronomic information from industry experts available online anytime. Give your wheat crop a good start and a great finish with the Wheat School on RealAgriculture.com. Brought to you by C&M Seeds, Syngenta Canada, and the Alberta Wheat and Barley Commission.
Welcome back to RealAg Radio, brought to you today by Lakeland College. Big thanks to them for being today's show sponsor. We've got Peter Wheat Johnson, we've got Tobin, and Kara Oosterhuis, all of Real Agriculture, an agronomic panel here today. Their whole RealAg team in Calgary, Alberta for our RealAg Summit. So this is a really cool, unique opportunity for us to get together. Tomorrow on the show, we'll have more of an issues sort of panel on a Wednesday, so that'll be kind of fun as well. Kelvin and Lindsay will join us for that. You know what? I left somebody out, and during the commercial break, he was sort of pouty about it.
Some moaning going on.
There was some complaining because, listen, if Pete isn't the star of the show, there's a problem. So, Pete, let me ask you, what do you have your eye on in 2023?
If Pete isn't the star of the show, Shaun, you are the star of the show. We all know that. And whenever Kara's around, she finds a way to steal the star from you. It's really Kara who's the star of the show. But yeah, come on. You don't even have to ask me that. You could tell me what I'm excited about this year. It's the wheat crop. What else would Wheat Pete be excited about? But, it really is cool. The wheat crop in Ontario, many growers saying that this is the best wheat crop they think they've ever had. They actually think it's better than the spring of 2021.
Is that a bad omen?
No, it's a great omen. You can't blow the doors off if you don't start out great. You also have to finish great. So in 2022,
I remember this.
We finished great. But if we could ever get a 2022 finish with the start we have in 2023, I don't know. I might have to retire. I actually said that I got to
go out
on a high note. Yeah, I said I would retire when the provincial average yield in Ontario was made 100 bushels per acre. Last year we were 99.7. And you know what some growers say, Shaun, is it really kind of, they say, no, Pete, there's inflation. You said that back in 2013 to start with.
Yeah, but so, Pete, we still got at least 3 months to kill the wheat crop.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So come on, hang in there.
There's a huge opportunity here. I'm excited. I think there's some real interest in spring wheat here in Western Canada. I think there's a real opportunity this year. We had Chip Flory from Agri Talk on the show last week. We got a really poor winter wheat crop. You were talking about Kansas and Nebraska, Oklahoma, crops in poor shape. There's an opportunity for spring wheat in Western Canada this year that and hopefully the forecaster's wrong and we're going to get some rain. We could see farmers definitely do well this year.
Absolutely. And I mean, if we end up, and it looks like it's almost guaranteed now that Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, northern Texas, I don't know if they can save that crop. And that's a high protein crop. That's a bred wheat crop. Man, protein could be worth some money this year here in Western Canada. And hard red spring wheat, yeah, I think she's a good bet.
And come on, Southern Alberta, Durham. Come on, you got to put Durham punch in there.
So here's the update on the U.S. winter wheat crop, because this all relates back to Canada. Mm-hmm. Okay, so connecting the dots for everybody. This is according to RFD TV's website. Winter wheat condition nationwide held steady at 27% good to excellent. In the Plains, Oklahoma dropped 7 points to show only 13% in the combined good to excellent categories. Kansas gained back 1 point from last week, but still only has 14% reported as good to excellent. 14. Notably, South Dakota dropped 5 points in its rating to only 24%, but even that is good enough to give it the top spot among the plains producing states. Yikes.
Yeah, that's just brutal, eh? It's got to be so disheartening to plant that crop in October and not even see it emerge until now. And a lot of it's just not emerging well. There's going to, almost for sure, there's going to be a lot of crop abandonment just given the way that it's emerging and from what reports I'm getting from that area. It's just got to be disheartening.
Can you spray? So I don't know the answer to this. Can you spray it out now and prevent plant?
I don't know that.
I don't know it either.
Yeah.
Because that's what Chip figured, was a lot of those acres would go to prevent plant.
On the acres that are diverted out of corn because of some of the snow, say in North Dakota where it's been very wintry, those acres will go prevent plant if people switch out of corn, was what he was talking about. But yeah, lots to happen at this point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one thing about wheat, never say it's over till you know it's over. And I tweeted out on the weekend a great picture of early planted wheat beside late planted wheat in Ontario. And I said 30 bushel difference. Man, the difference in growth, I did tiller counts. The late planted wheat, even at a higher seeding rate, we were struggling to get to 20 stems per foot of row. The early planted at a much lower population, and I'm getting 60, 70 stems per foot. A difference is massive.
Yep.
And, Sam Snowblin tweeted back, Pete, you're too early. that there's enough stand in that late planted wheat crop if you manage it correctly.
Sam's a smart guy.
Sam is an excellent wheat grower, absolutely excellent wheat grower. And he said, I think 10 bushel per acre yield difference. And I'm just going, man, if you can get that to 10 bushels per acre, that's doing something.
Some people are better farmers than you, Pete.
Yeah, I want.
Some people are better agronomists than
You
me.
heard it here on RealAgriculture.com.
Go ahead, Bern.
I just want to put a plug out for a video we shot last week on the Wheat School. Rob McLaughlin joined you from C&M Seeds on stand establishment. And you guys were, as I say, doing some stands on a pretty and amazing
144 stems per square foot.
Now there's but there's challenge and opportunity there, right? I mean, the opportunity obviously is tremendous wheats, but talk about some of the challenges that growers may face in managing that type of stem count, that type of head count.
144 per square foot?
Yes, 144.
Yes. That's why I was wooing.
Yeah. Well,
If I could whistle, I would.
So let's be real. I mean, there's no way that stand can support 144. That's too many. And we know that some of those tillers will drop off. But as soon as we go to that kind of a stand, lodging becomes a major issue. So if you don't manage the nitrogen correctly, you got to look at growth regulators, depending on the variety. And it was Hilliard, if I recall correctly, and Hilliard has pretty good legs. But even still, those kind of stem counts, wow. Yeah. It takes different management.
So it was good. Yesterday on the show, we had Jeremy Boychin from Alberta Wheat and Barley Commission on the show. We talked about components of yield and sort of connecting the dots between seeding rate, stand establishment, going out there and then doing those counts, heads per
square foot,
or per square meter, and like just connecting all those dots all the way through, not just going from seeding rate, jumping some steps and going to yield.
And
so critical.
You know what's really cool, Shaun, is in my career, when I started out, wheat was just an afterthought. Throw some seed in the ground, some nitrogen in the spring, yeehaw, expect it to yield. With this yen program that we have now in Ontario, we also have a maritime yen, got it out of the UK. The change in the effort that growers are putting into managing wheat is astounding. And they're doing those counts that Jeremy was talking about. Like 10 years ago, the only person doing them 10 years ago was Peter Johnson. That was it right there. Now we have great discussions on Twitter. Like it's cool, right, Bert?
And we've had a tremendous program on the Wheat School this winter. Wow. I mean, we've had Jeffrey Crone from Michigan, who won the yen last year, the Yield Enhancement Network, and we had Andy Timmermans, a friend and neighbor of yours, and we had Dennis Pennington on from Michigan State to talk about the program. And and that program is now entering its third year. It's gone from 50 to 80 to 170. Am I correct? Peter, in the number of growers?
Why are we letting them have all the fun?
I don't know.
Why do we not have a
yen in Western Canada?
Yeah.
Alberta Wheat tried this. Did they not? A couple of years ago, they had a yield contest.
It's not a yield contest. That's the difference.
Okay.
Okay, how is it different?
How is it different?
Because we look at your percent of potential. So it's not just about the maximum yield. Yeah, there's a category for maximum
two categories,
yield.
Right?
Right.
One is yield.
Well, actually,
it's in the name, Pete.
Yeah.
It's a yield enhancement, yield enhancement network. But we look at percent of potential. And so Jeffrey Crone last year, he was like 87 or 88% of his potential yield. Like, that's amazing. The average was 52%. So we're at half. Now, all of a sudden, we have one guy that's almost at 90%. So this percent of yield is what sets yen apart. Plus, those growers talk to each other and learn from each other, and they're all trying to move the bar forward together. Most yield contests, a lot of growers in a yield contest.
They're sharing.
Right.
They're sharing what they do well and how they can grow better wheat.
The biggest piece of feedback, though, that I've gotten from people, or the question that I've received is, do you consider profit in that?
And the answer is absolutely. So they don't look at profit per se because land rents differ and there's a bunch of variables like that. But they do look at at the
inputs versus
versus the outputs. So I forget exactly how they phrase it, but
I will say one thing about Jeffrey. We're going to publish his interview next week. But I mean, talking about inputs, his number one and number two sort of management philosophies are, lower seeding rate, and you can talk more about that, and narrow rows.
Yeah. So there's a guy who's really dialed in on profitability because he's getting higher yields with lower seeding rates. And we look at the dollars spent versus the dollars made in terms. So you look at, the dollars spent per bushel, and in the winning category, they spend more dollars in total, but they spend less in terms of dollars per bushel of output.
So it's not a yield contest, right? That's the key.
I would love to see a yen so like Manitoba makes sense, right? Like I think a yen in Manitoba would be fantastic. But I would love to see one in the Palliser Triangle.
That would be something.
Then you're really under the restrictions of that's where the yield potential comes. But
here's the question in the Palliser Triangle though. Then do you keep it to only dry land farmers?
Well, yeah, of course.
Okay,
yeah. But
you could always.
Why? Why would you not do two?
Well, you could do both.
Absolutely.
That's what I meant.
More yield.
Yeah, those irrigated farmers, Kara.
Darn.
Yeah, but also you could see how it. Even like the Peace has its own climate and considerations. Like we need to do more of this kind of stuff and then the yen networks working together to share the information, because that's a big belief here at Real Agriculture. It's why people are like, well, why do I listen to that stuff from the east, or why do I have to listen to that stuff from the west? Because you actually take Pete and I have talked about this so much, repeating myself for those of you that listen every day, but it's not about taking all of it. It's about taking the sliver that applies to you, where you can try to incorporate some of those practices and make it work on your farm.
Absolutely.
That's what's important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's those gems that you just didn't think of that somebody else, it's part of their normal production practice. And it's like Jeff Crone, right? 5-inch rows. Yeah. Wow. Now there's something that,
And attention to detail. In the last 2 years, you like to say growers matter, and attention to detail, and a lot of the winners have been real good managers.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, how you become a good manager? You know how you keep on learning? You look at Lakeland College. That's how you do it. They are today's show sponsor. Go to lakelandcollege.ca. You like that?
That was pretty good.
Yeah. Well, hey, they're pros there. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing at Lakeland College. That's lakelandcollege.ca. We got more coming up here with our Real Ag Agronomy panel. We'll be back right after this.
Infuse some energy into your next corporate event, customer meeting, or conference with RealAg Radio, Canada's national agriculture radio show. Create a unique experience at your next event with host Shaun Haney, broadcasting RealAg Radio live on SiriusXM, featuring exciting guests, captivating interviews, and the latest news from the agriculture community. Contact advertising at realagriculture.com or call 587-787-1795 to book your on location with RealAg Radio today.
Canola is more than just a pretty face in the prairie landscape. It's a big business, both here and around the world, that requires you to be informed and up to date on everything it takes to grow a successful crop. The Canola School on RealAgriculture.com has an expert library of video resources covering markets, agronomy, and more to help you grow a healthy and profitable canola crop. Visit canolaschool.com today. Brought to you by BASF Canada and Invigor Hybrid Canola.
And welcome back to Real Ag Radio, brought to you today by Lakeland College. Make sure you go to lakelandcollege.ca. Some great program and courses that they have offering. We heard a little bit earlier from Cole. So please check them out, lakelandcollege.ca. We got Peter Johnson, Bernd Tobin, Kara Oosterhuis, all with Real Agriculture. Kara, we were talking during the commercial break about flea beetles. That's definitely something outside of grasshoppers.
Oh.
Flea beetles may be the number one discussion point for people for this year in the prairies.
Yeah, I mean, and grasshoppers, like the forecast for grasshoppers doesn't look great either, but
it does not.
The concern there, I guess, that's going to be more of a weather game. I think if we end up in another full year of drought, those grasshoppers decimate even more. It seems like that's been the trend the last couple of years anyways. But flea beetles, I've been talking to agronomists. We've been out shooting schools for the canola school, and which, by the way, you can find on RealAgriculture.com. So be sure to check those out. But last week I was filming one of those canola schools, and, we were talking about how we can attack these flea beetles right off the hop, because people pay attention to flea beetles sometimes once they see them. Oh my goodness, they're out in my field, they are causing all the problems, what do I do now? And that's not necessarily, and then the next person says, well, seed treatments. And I'm not saying ignore seed treatments, but another thing you're going to want to pay attention to is seeding rates, seeding depth, because if you have that uniform canola seed coming up, that plant, if you are having a uniform emergence, it is just so key, because, if you have 15 flea beetles in 1 square foot out there, if they're attacking 15 plants, it's a little different than if they're attacking 5 plants. It doesn't give it much of a chance. So we've been talking lots about how you can really kind of mitigate those flea beetles before they even come out.
But the trouble with any crop, it's always like that. You fix one variable and then you put yourself into the bullseye of others. So the further we push the planting or seeding of canola back, because we're trying to get out of that flea beetle zone and get that crop launched to the ground, the higher the probability we are in the heat of summer when it comes to flowering.
Yeah, and that's of course a thing, but I guess there's so many people that have their eyes on flea beetles, because last year there was a lot of fields ripped right out because of these flea beetles.
And people are looking at it being like, I got to get to flowering.
Yeah, like it's one thing to say, okay, that the heat's going to be coming down and flowering, but man, if my canola doesn't even get there, that's a huge problem. Yeah. So I don't know which side of the coin you kind of take there, but that's what I'm hearing anyways.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So I think which side of the coin, Kara, is you want to make sure that the ground temperature is reasonably warm so it has a chance to jump out of the ground quickly.
Yeah.
And as much as I like to plant early, you got to put everything into that whole package, right? It's a systems approach. And so on wheat, I don't have flea beetles, so I'm planting it as soon as I can. On canola, maybe I'm going to sit for a few days to let that soil warm up so that the canola not only can emerge uniformly, but can emerge quickly and grow quickly and hopefully outgrow that flea beetle damage. So planters, they do a better job of getting that seed at a uniform depth. So you might have to up the seeding rate, but even still, that uniform depth, I think that's really quite critical. Seed treatments are part of that package, but we've learned we can't rely only on seed treatments. So it's really looking at that system to try to get ahead of the pest.
And in the Palliser Triangle, gosh dang it, as you would say there, Pete, we hope it rains and we hope that wind doesn't blow all spring, because that's another huge issue. Last year we've seen a lot of those poor little cotyledons just get shredded up, and then it was an easy job for the flea beetles.
We need more days like Sunday.
Yeah, I can't get over how we're gonna get sidetracked here, but man, there's nothing better than fire outside on a Sunday afternoon. It's 19 degrees. Picture it, everybody. It's great.
Yeah,
I'm in the wheat field scouting, sorry.
Yeah, 20,000.
Here we go, boo.
20. He was going on about 20,000 steps, and I was getting tired listening to him.
He's got to keep his figure up.
He's in great shape.
For what?
Huh? For a reasonably aged person.
For an old guy, you mean?
I didn't say that.
No, that was my perception of what you said. Old guy.
Well, that's
old
your
guy.
problem if that's how you're perception.
I can't, just because you're delicate.
Being old is better than the alternative.
Yeah.
I say that every year somebody complains about a birthday. I say, hey, birthdays are the best thing that can happen to a person.
Absolutely.
Because when the birthdays stop, that's when you got a problem.
That's when you got a problem.
When the last bell tolls.
I need Metallica coming in here.
It turned real dark.
So, Bern, we got a crop school season coming up. We've got lots of different schools that are running now. for farmers really across Eastern Canada, Western Canada,
North America,
the U.S. as well. Encourage everybody to check it out. I know you're excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying we were out last week. Pete and I and Rob McLaughlin shot our first wheat school in the field. We've been doing them, through the season. Also was out with Ben Rosser from Omafra doing corn schools, Horst Bonner, and Olivia Nordenberg from Pride Seeds. So I'm on, and I think hook up a Rob Miller later this week from BASF and someone else from Hensel Co-op. So I have left home and I may never return until September because, as I say, we've got the corn school, the soybean school, the wheat school, the sharp edge. We've got the edible bean school. We've got the soil school. So I hate to do the math some days because there's so much to do, but it's so exciting.
You wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh yeah, and you. Canola school, wheat school, and pulse school, right?
Oh, absolutely, and some soil schools. We're gonna get out there, and I know we got all sorts of new things launching. It's gonna be a good year. I'm excited. I'm optimistic. Anyways, it's gonna rain, Shaun. It's gonna rain.
Right. I know it.
I'm really excited about soil schools and getting some of the data from south of the border because that's kind of unusual. We haven't really been there much. That'll be cool. Bringing in more content from a greater geographic area. Very cool.
Yeah, well, we talk about it lots internally. I always say at the beginning of the show, thanks everybody making RealAg Radio a part of your day. And we've had a huge growth, and not only the Canadian audience, but also the U.S. audience as well. And I think, once again, it gets back to the fact that this is great exposure to a wide range of ideas and thoughts and approaches when it comes to agronomy or farm management, issue stuff. And so, there's a lot of opportunity here for us to really, really learn together, I think, is very much the way to look at it.
And I mean, you'll say too, we love the feedback. We really do, because it's something that we're here for you guys, the audience. Like we love sitting here and chatting, but man, you guys are across North America, like you said there, Bern. Yep. And not even just North America. We have people listening to us all over the world, and it's really cool. But the best part about that is we love hearing what is impacting you on your farm. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, story ideas. I mean, Pete and I talk to a lot of farmers. Kara does as well. We talk to a lot of researchers, a lot of extension people. But I mean, getting out and, Peter, the farmers you work with, and they're on farm trials and what they're doing on the farm. Some of the best stories we ever do are right on the farm with growers. So we'd love to hear more and more and get more people involved.
Absolutely. I live on feedback, baby. So that's just been my entire career. I live on that feedback.
It's funny. I give you feedback. You never listen.
That's different. That's different. You're the star, so I don't need to listen.
He might have taken his hearing aids out there.
Yeah. What's that? Pardon me? Sorry.
I just turned them off.
Yeah. Sorry, Shaun. I'm in a bad area. I got to call you back. It's just, this is weird. I'm on top of a hill and everything. Really strange. What's going on here? Oh, fabulous stuff. Okay. Hey, this has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate. We've had a big packed day here in our RealAg Summit, and so this has been great. You guys brought lots of energy, lots of great ideas and thoughts, so I really do appreciate it. So, Kara, thanks so much.
Yep, absolutely.
And the other two guys, whatever. But Bern, no, just kidding. Bern, thanks a lot.
Always a pleasure, Shaun.
Yeah, and Pete, it was great to chat with you again.
Yeah,
as always.
Once again, you had to put up with me. That's okay, Shaun. I appreciate the opportunity.
If you have any feedback on today's show, send me an email, shaney@realagriculture.com. You can also find us across all the different social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Bern's favorite, TikTok. Or you could call the RealAg feedback line, 855-776-6147.
And can I just say, Wheat Pete has a TikTok coming for you, so stay tuned.
He does?
Yeah. He does.
Filmed it himself.
Wow.
Hearing aids, were they
You know
in?
what?
Of course.
This is contrary to the saying of you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
He's got the new tricks.
Yeah,
every once in a while, I can surprise people.
Hey, big thanks to Lakeland College for being today's show sponsor. Make sure you go to lakelandcollege.ca. Thanks, everybody, for getting real and getting connected with RealAg Radio, and we will chat again tomorrow. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you for downloading this episode of RealAg Radio, brought to you by high-performing new carbine insecticide from FMC. New carbine insecticide hits aphids hard with effective, selective, and extended control. It also has activity on ligas and tarnished plant bugs. Ask your retailer today.